Kira and welcome back to another vlog. I'm coming to you today from Slovenia for the next part of our honeymoon holiday, and I'm so excited to be here because Slovenia is somewhere that we've been to before. We travelled here after my dad's wedding actually in 2018, I think that was, so like 6 years ago now, which is kind of crazy. We just spent a few days here. We stayed in Ljubljana and did a little day trip out to Lake Bled, which is where we're staying now, but we absolutely loved it and have definitely wanted to come back since. So this trip was like the perfect opportunity to build it into our little road trip, and I'm so happy to be back. The weather is absolutely incredible, but I am sweating because we've been driving all day long and I'm so excited to just go and get in the water. I think we're going to rent some paddle boards this afternoon. I've never been paddleboarding before, but I've always wanted to. At home, Jay has a kayak and I've kind of been toying with the idea of getting a paddleboard so that I can go out with him when he's on the kayak and I can bring a paddleboard, but I kind of feel like it's probably worthwhile testing it out before I just like invest and buy one myself. So today seems like a good opportunity to do that. And aside from that, the rest of the afternoon we'll be setting up our campsite and doing some more reading. I actually didn't do any reading on the drive today because I like write a little like holiday journal. This was a notebook that my friend Em got me, and last year I made like a little diary of all of our days from our camping trip that we did, and I decided to do the same thing this year, but I was a little bit behind, so I had 3 days to write, and that ended up taking out most of my drive. And then by the time we were closer, I'd gotten too hot to even think about picking up this book. But I am currently reading Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, which is the sequel to Fourth Wing. I started it a couple of days ago when we were driving to Venice in Italy, and I'm now on page 47, chapter 6, so very much at the beginning. It's following on directly from where Fourth Wing left off. So we were at the end of the War Games and basically the end of Violet's first year at Baskayath, I think is how you pronounce the school, and then we're setting up for where it's going to be going next, knowing that of course Xaden is having to leave because he's finishing his time there at the school, but their two dragons are bonded to each other, and there's lots of other things going on as well. So I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think we'll definitely be coming back to grab the books and do some reading by the lake after we finished our paddleboarding session. So I'll catch up with you later, but for now, very excited to be in Slovenia and very excited to see what happens next in Iron Flame. I don't know if this is just a flaw of English weather or a pro of weather everywhere else, but all of the campsites that we've stayed at so far, we've had rain at, but the rain seems to just be smarter here because it's never rained during the day at all. We've had perfect weather every single day, and then rain only seems to come in the evening when you're already back at your campsite and you're ready to just chill and like relax with your book. So I feel like England just needs to get the memo a little bit there, because I could do with that at home because I love a cozy evening with a book, rain on the window, but it's a little bit inconvenient when it just rains all day every day for several weeks in a row, which is quite typical at home. But either way, we're having great weather here. We had a very rainy first evening, which was great for getting on with some reading, and aside from that, this has definitely ended up being the water sport leg of the trip. We paddleboarded, didn't bring the phone to get any clips because I didn't realise that they would provide like a waterproof bag. We're planning to paddleboard again today, so hopefully I'll be able to get some clips there. And today we're also going whitewater rafting or rafting. I don't know if it is whitewater rafting, it's definitely rafting. So we're going on a rafting trip this morning, which should be very exciting, and also just spending the vast majority of our time in the lake, which is A, just so nice and refreshing, and B, literally the most beautiful body of water that I think I've ever seen. I could literally spend forever there. It is just so gorgeous. So basically today is another watery day and I'm very excited about it. But a little reading update on Iron Flame. I'm now on page 132, so I'm getting a little bit further into the plot of the book, but I will say that I don't know if this is just Rebecca Yarros's writing style. I had expected to go into this book and enjoy it more from the start than I did with Fourth Wing, because if any of you guys have seen the vlog where I talked about Fourth Wing, it was definitely a bit of a struggle to get into the book at the beginning for me. I found that it was just a bit of a slog, but I pushed through, and by the second half I really loved it. This book, I obviously thought, right, I'm leading right on from Fourth Wing and I know the characters, so I should just love it straight away. And whilst it's definitely nowhere near as much of a slog as Fourth Wing was, because I do know the characters and I am interested in the plot, I will say that it is just like a little bit of waiting around at the beginning of the book for things to get started, and there are lots of like hinting, lots of talk about rebellion, lots of secrets being kept, and also lots and lots of miscommunication between Violet and Xaden, which is just extremely frustrating. So I'm hoping that this is going to have a similar experience for me as Fourth Wing, where the second half I'm going to absolutely love, but right now I'm enjoying it. It's just not like blowing me away. And I will also say, potentially it's just because I'm coming straight from reading like a big high fantasy like Game of Thrones, but I think the language use in this book is maybe a little bit patchy, where sometimes there is just this keeping to like another sort of like word, like instead of saying like, oh my god, there is like other gods that they reference, or instead of saying, you know, like when someone's died, like may they rest in peace, they commend their souls to a god and that sort of thing. So there are like parts of it where there is a consistency and there is world building, but then there are other parts where the way that the characters talk and behave feels very modern and just like it's come straight from like just a contemporary novel, I suppose. So I feel like it has a little bit of inconsistency there in the way that the writing is, I guess, like formulated, in the way that we sort of like get to know the characters. But aside from that, I'm definitely enjoying it, hoping to get a good bit more of this book read today, and I'm hoping that because I'll be getting like further and further into the middle of the book, that I should be getting to the part soon where I start to like really enjoy it, and hopefully the action picks up pace a little bit as well. But for now, it's time to go rafting. Actually watched The Sound of Music, so forgive me if I'm getting my facts completely wrong on this one, but we're currently staying in a place in Austria called Mondsee, which is just so beautiful. The lake, which is called Mondsee, is like massive and so blue and just gorgeous to look at. We're surrounded by mountains, so I feel like no matter which way I turn my head, I just have incredible views all around. And so much of Austria in general, I feel like looks like it could have just been taken straight out of a painting, because it is just so picturesque. And the like towns themselves also have really beautiful architecture, which leads me back onto The Sound of Music, because when we arrived the other day, we were wandering around and came across this absolutely massive bright yellow church, which I believe is one of the filming locations from The Sound of Music. So I've never seen it, can't say for sure, but I think it was in the film. So it was just so eye-catching, bright yellow, and the inside is even more incredible than the outside, because it is so ornately decorated and just absolutely like awe-inspiring when you're in there. Like, to think about how much time and effort has gone into the inside of that building and then the like maintenance of it. I don't know, it's just kind of crazy to think about these buildings that are just so ornate. It's incredible. But either way, we were having a look around and the building itself was cool enough, but we also discovered they're doing events every night this week where live musicians are playing classical music in the church every night for free. So tonight there is a violinist playing some live music, and we've decided to hop along, go get some dinner in Monse, and then go and watch this violinist, because I just feel like in general it's a cool thing to do, but completely for free and in such an incredible location. I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. And it's also our last night here in Austria, which I feel like is kind of crazy to say, but the last part of this trip just seems to be going so quickly. And tomorrow we're moving on to our final country, which is Germany, and our first stop there is Rothenburg, which I'm very excited about. But I don't want to wish today away because I'm very excited for this evening's event. In general, Austria has been so much fun. We had a bike ride this morning. It was my first time using an e-bike. I've never used them before, but it was so much fun because you can just zoom right up all of the hills with none of the hard work, which I feel like is so incredibly necessary when it is so hot. We visited Salzburg yesterday and also had the longest and most dramatic thunderstorm that I've ever witnessed in my life yesterday evening. So all in all, having an incredible time here. I can't remember how far through Iron Flame I was when I last spoke to you, but now I'm on page 381, so I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through the book now. Very much enjoying it. I would say that I think the pacing of this book is a little bit off, in the sense that there's a lot of time wasted, like I say, on miscommunication between certain characters, and it does feel like you're often having like these repeated sort of conversations over and over again between Xaden and Violet and Rhiannon and things like that, and it just feels as though there's a lot of repetition of the same problem happening over and over again, and then all of a sudden it massively speeds up, and suddenly problems that have been going on for ages are just resolved without characters really having any issue with it. So it feels as though there is kind of like a mega slow part and then like really rapid, but it doesn't necessarily feel in character the way that some of the characters respond to some of these problems. So obviously there's a lot of talk about rebellion in this book, and then some of the characters kind of just accept that immediately without much question, which just seems a little bit odd. But either way, I am definitely enjoying it and looking forward to seeing what happens in the last third of the book, I'd say. So tomorrow, obviously, as I say, is our trip to Germany, so I'll definitely be doing a lot more reading on the drive and hopefully have some more updates for you when we get there. We've had a couple of back-to-back travel days, so I kind of feel like the last few days have gone by in a bit of a blur. But yesterday we went from Austria to Germany, and we stayed in Rothenburg, which we actually put onto our like journey plan as just kind of like a stepping stone, because we needed to start getting further over towards the ferry port when we're going to be going home at the weekend. But we obviously didn't want to have like super long drives, so we decided to just put in a random stop, and it turned out to be such a great move on our part, because Rothenburg was so lovely, and I feel like we'll definitely maybe go back there because it was just really beautiful, and it felt like we just had to rush our way around, but there was just, yeah, it was just such a lovely vibe. So that was beautiful, and I definitely feel like we could have stayed there longer. But then today we had another travel day, and we've come to our final stop of this trip, which feels kind of crazy. It feels like we've been away for a very long time, but also because we've been moving around so many places, I feel like it's gone very quickly. So last stop now, and we are by the Mosel River in Germany still, and then we're heading straight from here to the ferry to go home on Saturday. So we just have 2 nights on this stop, and we actually booked a campsite for this stop, arrived there this afternoon, and just immediately got a not so great vibe from this particular campsite. It just did not look very nice, and I felt we've had such good luck with all of the other campsites on this trip, but didn't look nice, didn't have hot showers, the vibe was just not there. So we decided last minute to try and find an Airbnb, and we found a beautiful Airbnb with a really nice like apartment and this gorgeous garden that we can see the river right from. So we're just doing some evening reading by the river, and it feels like it was definitely the right choice, because we can now just relax, no tents to put up and down, and we can just enjoy the last couple of days of this trip and not have to suffer through cold showers, because that was just not something that I was interested in doing. But the beauty of having had a couple of back-to-back travel days is, as always, lots of reading done. So you might have seen that earlier I finished reading Iron Flame, and as predicted, enjoyed the book all the way through, but it did just get better and better as it went on, and by the end I was just flying through it, super hooked with the story. And I'm now so mad, because when I finished Fourth Wing I knew that I had Iron Flame to come straight onto, but obviously I don't have the next book yet because it's not out, so I'm now just left with this massive cliffhanger and desperate to know what happens next in the story. I feel like it's interesting what has been done with Xaden at the end of the story without giving away any spoilers, but to be quite honest, the part of the story that I'm most interested in is Andana. I just feel like we didn't get anywhere near enough of her in Iron Flame, although definitely more towards the end, and I'm just desperate to see more of how her story unfolds. And in general, the dragons and Violet's bond with Ten and Andana is definitely my favourite part of the book, so can't wait to see how that unfolds in the next one. But overall, definitely enjoyed. It was just a little bit too much of Violet and Xaden just like not communicating and then not, but on the whole very much enjoyed, and I'm excited to read the next part of that series when it comes out. But then moving on to another series, I'm obviously back into the world of Game of Thrones, and I've now picked up A Clash of Kings, which is the second book in the series. Again, it's a reread for me because I have read this before, but not since 2019, so it does feel still quite fresh to me because I just can't really remember too much about what happens in this book. I started it towards the end of our drive, so I'm now on page 72, read a few chapters, and already I'm enjoying it. I feel like it obviously, similarly to Iron Flame, you don't have like the beginning of a book series to like familiarise yourself with all the characters and the world and everything. You can kind of just jump straight into the action, and this one just pick up like immediately after the Game of Thrones finishes. So very much enjoying it, and I'm gonna just do some more reading now, enjoy this gorgeous evening by the river, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. have just gotten back from a bike ride, but we've just gotten back to the apartment. Jay was opening some windows just to air out of the place and looked across the courtyard and saw 2 cats sleeping on windowsills across from us, and I feel like this particular stop on our trip has been so full of cats. We're now at a total of 4, one of which let Jay actually pick it up this morning. We named him Roland and he was an adorable British short hair, but I'm just having the best time with all of these cats, and they're so cute just sleeping on the like ledges. It's quite high. I feel like I personally would be a little bit frightened, but cats don't seem to live with fear, so just thought I'd share that. But they are just so cute. Cat number 1 and cat number 2. Cat update. Grey cat is still in its little perch. Black cat is all the way over there, still on his windowsill, and we now have a ginger cat that has joined the party. Officially home and reunited with the boys, which I was just so excited about. We're also actually in our new home right now, so we've come back from holiday, packed all of our things and got straight into the new house, which is so exciting. But we are also still very much in the moving process, in the sense that everything is in the new house now, but we have so much organising to do. So it's been a bit of a chaotic few weeks to say the least, but also very exciting. But all I can say is that although we have had the most incredible holiday, I was just so excited to be reunited with the cats, and I've loved seeing all of the different cats that we bumped into on our travels, but I just think nothing compares to your own pets. So it's very exciting to get back to them and reunite. And obviously I feel like I'm a bit of a helicopter cat mom, so when I was like getting updates from Jay's parents and his sister who were looking after them, it was just like I trusted that they were okay, but there's also just always a part of you that's like worried until you're actually with them that something could happen. So it was just nice to come back and see that they were all okay, and then obviously get moved, and they've both settled into the new house really well, which is obviously very exciting. So yeah, back from holiday, which obviously brings this little honeymoon European road trip travel saga to an end. A very quick reading update to finish off the vlog, I think, because obviously I was in the middle of reading Clash of Kings when we last spoke to one another, and I still am. I'm now on page 402, and I'm definitely enjoying this book, but I do feel like Game of Thrones is potentially better. I feel like obviously this book very much is focused around a lot of like battle planning and strategy. Whoa, which is definitely interesting, but not my personal favourite thing to read about. So I am definitely finding it interesting, but I'd say the plot of Game of Thrones, which I think is a bit more political rather than battle focused, is definitely where my personal intrigue lies. But all that to say, I'm definitely still excited to continue on with reading this book, but my progress has definitely slowed since getting home, because obviously the main focus was on moving house. But now that we are slowly but surely getting settled in, I'm hoping to finish this book in the not too distant future, and I will of course keep you updated on that. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed seeing all of our travels, and I will catch up with you very soon with a cottage life vlog, which I'm so excited about.